Right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the final council meeting for 2025 on Wednesday, the 17th of December. I'd like to welcome councillors, staff, our visitors at the back there, the media, and also those who are watching in at home. We're all here, so there are no apologies. I'd like to call for any items of extraordinary business. None that I know of. No, thank you. Are there any declarations of interest on any of the matters in this agenda today? No, thank you. So we're going to start our meeting this afternoon with two public forums. And the first person to present is John McCaw. So I welcome you, John, to come up to the front desk. You just need to push the microphone there, so the other side.
Yep.
So everyone can hear you at home. So I've allowed 5 minutes for you to speak, and then after that, councillors are welcome to ask any questions. So go ahead, John.
Thank you very much. My name is John McCaw, and together with my family, we farm situated at the end of Mount Harding Road. Indeed, the rather grandly named Mount Harding is situated just outside my bedroom window. I say grandly named because it's more of a molehill than a mountain, and that has led to it being referred to as Mount Hardley by some. The reason I am here is that the proposed closures of particularly the Pudding Hill stream represent a grave threat to the future of the Mount Harding stream, and I'd like to thank the council for this opportunity to speak. From the outset, I'd say that I am in favour of closing down the stock water race systems. I do, however, hold grave concerns that the recent surface flooding that we've experienced in the last few winters will be exacerbated by the closing of the stock water race system and the inevitable filling in of those races as farmers look to realign their paddocks. I do not support the council's position that the races be closed and the effects on flooding be managed retrospectively in a reactive manner. I think predictive modelling and real-time monitoring are crucial and should be used in conjunction with a moratorium on filling in those races until a drainage plan can be established. In the post-water race era, I think this council and ECAN should work together to actively monitor and to maintain the drains, and that includes the Mount Harding stream. The Mount Harding stream is a natural waterway which drains a number of springs along its path. In recent years, it has been augmented with Ashburton river water to provide an important stock water source for the many properties along its course. At the Drayton Gate, which is situated on our property, Ashburton river water comes crashing into the clean Pudding Hill stream and Mount Harding stream water, and it sends that clean water out east towards Waimarama, and the silt-laden Ashburton river water carries on down the Mount Harding stream. Now, while it has always been a frustration to watch that water exchange, the constant flow of Ashburton river water has had the effect of supporting the ecological life in that stream. As we look to close down the races, if we are no longer able to augment the flow of the Mount Harding stream, then all that will change. The problem for the stream and all of the creatures that live in it is that those springs that feed it dry up, sometimes for months, sometimes for years at a time. With no augmentation, that will devastate the life in that stream and allow the vegetation to take over the stream bed. That will impede the flow when the springs are running and reduce its effectiveness as a flood channel. It must be actively maintained to preserve the channel. It's tempting to think that nature knows best, and that if we cut off the artificial supply of water to the Mount Harding stream, it will revert to nature. But unfortunately, that is not the case. We live in a modified environment. Wetlands have been drained and land has been recontoured. The Mount Harding stream, though precious, to many is not the pristine waterway of pre-European times. To turn off that augmentation will simply kill the stream. This council and this community have a golden opportunity, and one that must not be squandered. That is to augment the flow in the Mount Harding stream with clean Pudding Hill water. There would be an abundance of life, and it would create a wonderful asset for Methven and the surrounds. I don't know what the future of Methven is, but it seems to be going ahead quickly. Clean running water supply into Methven would be of immense value and offer all sorts of opportunities in the future, including a community lake and obviously firefighting water. The success of the Thyme stream and Lions planting along the Mount Harding stream shows that such a stream with clean Pudding Hill water could be the lifeblood of Methven. There's no construction needed, the supply is available, and if we don't think about it now and move to protect that flow, then we will lose that opportunity and it will be terribly short-sighted. I know it's not simple, and an environmental take has been considered and mentioned in the past. Immediately it raises concerns around maintenance, monitoring and management. But with vision and leadership, none of those obstacles are insurmountable. I implore this council to consider the Mount Harding stream as more than just a water race. It's a great asset, it's full of life, it's a drain, it's a flood mitigation strategy, and it has huge untapped potential for the Methven Township.
We've just gone 5 minutes, John. Have you got much more?
To summarise, I would say that the Pudding Hill stream is a unique opportunity to safeguard the future of the Mount Harding stream. Please, don't shut down the Pudding Hill take just because it's a stock water race. Consider all opportunities to use this valuable resource to enhance and protect the Mount Harding stream for the benefit of the environment and the community. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I will now ask if any councillors have any questions based on what John has spoken about now. Any questions from councillors? Councillor Moffat.
Hi, John. Dare I ask, have you had any studies done on your property or any expert opinion supporting what you're saying at all?
There have been reports done with, I've forgotten her name, I'm sorry. There have been water samples taken along the length, including through our farm. There have been walks through the property and DNA testing of the water, particularly above and below the Drayton Gate, which is, I think has been in a report submitted to the council with some pretty graphic photos showing a clean stream and then a turbid, dirty stream below that. So the key to my proposal is to have that clean water continue where it should have originally gone down the Mount Harding stream, and that is the key for Methven and for the remainder of the Mount Harding stream.
Can I have one more question? And when you spoke of surface flooding on your property, how long did that surface flooding last for?
So we've had it for the last 2 or 3 years, notably badly. It lasts for the day that it's raining hard. So if we get 60 mils of rain, then we can expect surface flooding. And what happens is it streams across the Drayton Road into our property and down through the property, and depending on the cover on the paddocks at the time, it can cause serious erosion. And it tips into the streams, and the streams are running absolutely full despite having been shut off in advance when it's been well forecast. So that to me shows the importance of those streams in managing that overland flow. And it's unclear how that will play out in the future without those drains.
And there's no drainage plan, are you saying?
I'm not aware what the council's plan is. I know you have a climate change plan, and I presume it would fall under that, but at the moment, under the guise of stock water, you're managing a series of drains and channels. My concern is, and we've seen it already with the few branches that have been closed, the first thing that happens is they get closed in. Farmers would like their land back and they'd like to realign their fences. So if that is allowed to happen without any controls in place, then I think it would be very, very hard to unwind that and to put some channels in place. So I would like to see a moratorium until we can establish what drains are the most important to manage that floodwater.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Everest.
Thank you, John. Just a couple of questions. Following a similar line to Julie, really, I guess the flood control is an issue in terms of where you're thinking. If we're turning off to actually allow that flood control to take place, does that have any impact on the drain flow itself?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood that. If
you mentioned before that you're turning the creek flow down if there's a heavy rainfall coming, what impact is that having on the environmental effect of the drain, or the ecological effect of the drain?
Nothing, because you wouldn't, when you look at the drain, you would not think it has been turned off. It is overflowing. So it's absolutely the right thing to do. They turn it off completely and they still get people ringing up asking why on earth they haven't turned it off. So that's all the surface water going into those creeks, and they are absolutely racing at that point.
So supplementary then, in terms of an open waterway through the township, does that create challenges?
The Mount Harding stream doesn't run through the township as such. It comes down Mount Harding Road, through Time Stream as it's known now, through the a corner property, and then it goes under the road and it scoots around sort of nearer the golf course. And in time it will have houses on all around it, I'm sure, but that has been managed in the past. I believe there's an opportunity for to use that water for a community lake or something similar in the future. At the moment that would be less attractive with Ashburton River water, but if we did what I said, it would be a fantastic resource. You can always have water in an alkathene pipe, but having an overland flow across, in a ditch like that with clean water is unique, and I would hate to see that opportunity be lost in the name of shutting down water races.
If there was a cost involved in maintaining that asset, what would be acceptable?
I think there will be a cost for sure, because it has to be maintained, and I'm not sure what, and I mentioned that in my talk, that there's management, there's of the consent, there's monitoring of the flows, and there's maintenance of the race, and those are all issues. And I believe the future will be some sort of a hybrid model where community and council work together. There have been a number of community groups mooted. None of those groups, in my view, would have the capacity to take on the full responsibility themselves, but perhaps they could do a section of the stream. But I do believe that there are ways and means of achieving this without putting an undue rates burden on the community. But I do acknowledge that this is the first race closure, and that the council want to get this job done, and there's a lot ahead of you. And it's unfortunate that this is the first one that we're looking at, because this isn't clear cut. It's not just a stock water race. It's an opportunity to maintain a natural stream, and I'm very concerned that that point will be lost and the opportunity will be lost.
Thank you. I think it doesn't look like there's any further questions, so thank you very much, John, and Mel, for coming in.
Thank you.
And you're welcome to sit and listen to the rest of the meeting. Next we have Nick Daniels, who's the CEO of Bar Hill Chertsey Irrigation Limited, and Nick, just as I said before, 5 minutes to speak. I'll give you an indication when 5 minutes is up, and then you just a couple of sentences after that, and then questions for clarification.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, councillors, for the opportunity to come and speak today. As the Mayor indicated, I'm Nick Daniels, the Chief Executive of Bar Hill Chertsey Irrigation. We're a farmer-owned cooperative. We're owned by 150 local farmer shareholders, and we operate a piped irrigation scheme across 28,000 hectares of mid-Canterbury. BCI's position on ADC exiting stock water service delivery. As a scheme, we're supportive of ADC exiting stock water delivery, including setting a near-term date to ensure that commitments are made. We're also supportive of exploring the best transition from ADC services to alternatives. But we're also mindful that the best transition for the community may require additional resources. And these are points that I sort of raised with Council at the time we made our submission for the long-term plan when council was considering the exit of Stockwater. However, BCI does have some concerns. We're concerned about the community readiness in a couple of areas. Specifically, is the community ready to pay upfront for the capital costs of new infrastructure where piped water will be required to deliver alternatives? And we question whether the community is ready to pay the commercial cost of alternative services. We're concerned about the council readiness. Is the council ready to resolve outstanding issues to enable alternative providers to complete business cases? And for example, confirming the source and cost of alternative consented water. We're also concerned where there are options that could deliver improved community outcomes. Is the council ready to explore more detailed and alternative transition plans? We're also concerned that the council timetable may not align with alternative providers and other stakeholders who can assist in a transition. So simply our submission to council is that for council timelines to be modified to enable transition planning where preferable community outcomes could be achieved, and to ensure that council and council staff are resourced to support those transition steps and transition planning. Those are the points I'd like to raise there, and I'm very happy to take questions.
Thanks, Nick. Any questions? Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. Just trying to get my head around all the information I've heard this morning. But so for you, you just think this is moving a bit too quickly, and you just like to see the process slow down. What? Because I recall around the time of our last LTP and irrigation companies came in, I think you were the ones who told us it was quite simple and we could do it quickly. But if that's now, not the case, what sort of time frame do you think we should be working to?
I don't recall myself making the comments that it was simple and straightforward. I think as of today, and I'm thinking from a BCI perspective, and specifically in regard to the methane auxiliary and those specific off-takes that I think are put forward for as of today, we're not in a position to put together a business case to know if it's viable for us to present an alternative. The critical steps that are required for us to be in that position would be to know what council can provide in terms of consented water and its cost. We need to know of the folk who are looking for an alternative, those that are prepared to pay up front for the capital cost of the infrastructure, how many of those are actually committed or willing to do so. And only at that point can then we sort of put together a business case and make a call as to whether we're able to provide that service. Now we're keen to do that as quickly as practicable, because we know that if the answer for BCI is no, then those landowners will need to know that they need to look elsewhere. But so as of today, we're just, until we've got that information, we can't really make a call as to what timing would work for us.
Councillor Wilson.
Just a couple of comments you made. You talked about the community, doing it. Most of the people on these stockwater systems are businesses that are running, and the greater proportion of already, you could say, taken the plunge, or through modern and farming practices, have put in, pressured and water supply systems. So when you talk the community, you're really talking about businesses, not the community is a all-encompassing word, whereas we're talking about individual businesses on these. Is that correct? Or can you just, I can't understand the word community to different businesses.
I think there are a range of services that, where it's strictly for stock water and it's a livestock, then there are businesses, some large, some small, but also lifestyle folk. But where we're talking about a transition, we're also talking about other objectives such as stormwater, which was made from the previous submitter, amenity, and there's the recharge water. Some of this water will potentially be delivered, to for aquifer recharge and other areas. So I think the transition from the current service to council not providing that service will involve a number of different community values.
Any other questions for Nick? No, thanks, Nick, very much for coming along.
Thank you.
Again, you're welcome to sit there, and we've just got a bit of procedural work to do, and then our first report is on the stock water. So, councillors, next we have confirmation of the minutes from our council meeting on the 3rd of December. I'll just go through to check that they are all correct. So we have page 4, page 5, page 6. Councillor Ellis, you happy to move? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hooper? All those in favour? Aye. Against, no, carried. Thank you. Next, we have page number 7, and we have the Biodiversity Advisory Group. Just to note, I did not attend that meeting. I'm down as present, but I didn't attend that meeting. Would someone like to move that we receive those minutes, please? Councillor Wilson, Councillor Moffat. All those in favour? Against, no, carried. Thank you. There are 2 recommendations to come through to council there. The first one is that council adopts the Biodiversity Advisory Group terms of reference for the 25-26 term. 28 term. Put my glasses on. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Wilson, seconder. Councillor Gilbertson. Any discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against, no, carried. Thank you. And there is another recommendation there that the Biodiversity Advisory Group supports the establishment of an Environmental Champions Award and recommends that this award category be included in Council's Community Honours Award. Would someone like to move that? Councillor Cameron? Seconder, Councillor Moffat. Any discussion? Councillor Moffat? No. Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against, no. Carried. Thank you. Next, we have the Stockwater Transition Working Group minutes from the 4th of December. There is a recommendation in those minutes, but that obviously comes up in the next report. So I'd just like someone to move that we receive those minutes. Councillor Cameron. Seconder. Councillor Wilson. All those in favour? Aye. Against, no, carried. Thank you. So our first report is item number 7, Pudding Hill Race Network proposed closure. And this is the recommendation from the Stockwater Transition Working Group. Welcome Andy, Neil, Chrissy. John, are you coming up to the table? Thank you. So the report is there. Is there anything else to add before we take questions?
Yeah, look, I just seek a bit of indulgence. There was a inferred recommendation as part of the the Stockwater Transition Working Group around the signing up of the heads of agreement. So because that was not expressly dealt with at the working group, we're seeking latitude to add it as an officer recommendation for this. The only other thing I'd like to just sort of emphasise is the proposal that is before council is to close the Pudding Hill network from Mount Harding and below. So the Mount Harding Creek basically will remain operational even after this decision and after the closure of the races, simply because of some of the concerns that have been raised and the complexities that we still need to work through.
Thank you. Any questions for the officers. Councillor Maxwell.
I just want to know, reading through the paperwork, do you know how many of the 48 landowners currently have, that were identified in the closure spaces, have an irrigation consent with BCI?
There's none of the 48 that have an existing BCI supply. Otherwise, they were struck off the list.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. So the water that's now not going to go down Pudding Hill Stream, will that go into the Harding Stream and to augment that? Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah, so the operating model post the closure would be that Pudding Hill will be supplying effectively right down to and into the Mount Harding Creek, and we will reduce the intake flows from the Methven auxiliary. The complication with all of this is that we can't take water expressly for ecological or environmental purposes, so this is a way of maintaining our compliance.
Thank you. And supplementary, please. This one's probably to Neil. Are you working on a district-wide drainage plan as well? Is that correct, that you are doing that alongside these stock water closures and there is a plan in place for that?
Yeah, so the biggest issue we have is that, and you have to appreciate the network's 1,400 kilometres of open race channel. The difficulty we have is that if we don't gazette a race as a stormwater channel, and there's a statutory process involved in that, we'd have to get landowner approvals and all manner of complexity around that. We can't just simply leave a race open and say it's for stormwater purposes. We wouldn't have any right to do that. So what we would, our preferred approach is that we would seek people to manage on property and fill them in where possible. And then where the water goes, any issues will become apparent post-closure and would be far more effective from addressing those issues. It would be far more effective to do that post-closure than to try and predict it pre-closure.
Councillor Gilkison.
Thank you. I think my question was along the similar line, and I guess consequently, what liability do we have if Methven floods? Or how big is that liability of where the high-risk areas are?
Yeah, so Methven Township itself is actually fairly well accommodated with Mount Harding Creek. We've got Dry Creek protecting it, and the council also manages the cut-off drain at the top of Methven as well. So with all of those protections, they still exist, they'll still be there post-closure. And the reality is the RDR operates as quite a significant damming structure anyway. So the reality is it's not anticipated to be any issues in the urban area. Methven will have some challenges going forward when we start looking at the other closures, when we start looking at Methven Auxiliary, but it certainly won't be affected to any great shakes with this particular closure.
Okay, thank you. And I just have one other question. So if we accept the recommendation, what happens if BCI cannot supply? What's the plan B? Is there other options?
Well, as presented at the moment, the BCI is the option. We've identified that. We're looking to, council has obviously signalled its intention to exit the service. So there is no plan B. I think we'd have to be cautious about signalling that there is a plan B, because it will potentially influence people's decisions around taking plan A.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Everest.
It seems that we're valuing environmental flows over stock water flows and farm environment. Is that, how do we rationalise that?
Is that a question for officers? No.
That is a question. How do we rationalise environmental flows?
Yeah, through Madam Mayor, I'm not sure anyone can directly answer that, because I'm sure every person would have a different perspective. At the moment, council provides a stock water system. We're consented to take water for a stock water system. Council by resolution has resolved to exit the stock water service by 30 June 2027. All the work that is ongoing, the discussions around exiting that service are coming to fruition with a recommendation to close this particular piece of the network. But as Andy has already said, we don't have a consent to take water for environmental or amenity purposes. We have a consent to take water for stock water. And the issues around the stock water system have been well canvassed by this council over many, many years, both in terms of sufficiency and also because the bulk of the payment for that system, for whatever the consequential or incidental benefit is paid largely by farmers who don't want the stock water. And that's who's paying for it. And council's acknowledged that and is trying to address it via a process to exit the service. For many years, council has been working to try and deal with the voluntary nature of closures and neighbours agreeing and where they can agree. We've had quite a program of closures over the last decade or two. But where they get tricky when people disagree and without the clear direction to exit the service, the incentive for farmers and those who want the stock water service to find alternatives is not there. And so it's this deadline date that is creating the tension and the discussion around alternative supply. But how individuals value one incidental benefit over another is a very hard question to answer.
But that scheduled date's already been extended, does it not?
No, it hasn't. So
but
when council passed that
non-compliant,
resolution, when council passed the resolution at the end of June 24, it was a signal that in 3 years' time we're out of stock water. So that date of 30 June 27 remains in place.
But in terms of compliance with ECAN, have we been non-compliant since about 2015?
Oh, the issues around the stock water system and our compliance issues with ECAN, largely around fish screens, remains a live conversation with ECAN, but that's not related to closure of the network per se. One of the motivations that council has to contemplate exiting, but it's not the ECAN process that's dictating the closure date, and nor has that date been extended because of that.
Have you got a further question, Councillor?
Yeah, I was just thinking along similar lines. If BCI is supplying water, what undertaking do we have that water will be continuous supply, and how would we get round it if it wasn't?
We're out of the stock water service, so the question for those who want stock water is more how are they going to get adequate supply. And we're trying to facilitate that process because of the nature of providing it for many years and exiting. But council won't be in a position to guarantee stock water from a third party post exit.
We've got a couple more questions here. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. With your indulgence, can I ask another question, Madam?
Yes.
Thank you. Just wondering what the consequences are of delaying this one so that BCI can get some of that extra information that they would like to find out before this date of 30 September 26. So is there a flow-on effect, and what are the consequences if we do that?
I think there's probably a couple of disadvantages. One is the more we stack this stuff up, we're going to start falling over it internally with the administration of the project. But the other aspect too is that we were trying to create a signal that we're on our way, and adding a further delay to it could jeopardise that signal, could weaken that signal.
Councillor Wilson.
With your indulgence, could I put the motion forward?
Are there no other questions? No. Yes, so this is the first recommendation from the Stockwater Transition Working Group.
So there's three, actually potentially four now because we're about the BCI.
So we'll take the first three first. Yeah.
I'll read them out. The council approves the closure of the Pudding Hill Race Network from its connections to Mount Harding Creek at Scarness Gate and Drayton's Gate to its terminal discharge points. 2, the date of the closure being for rating purposes effective from 30th of June 2026, and 2.2, for operational purposes effective from 30th September 2026. 3, the officers commenced discussions with Environment Canterbury on the utilisation of the Pudding Hill intake for potential future environmental augmentation of Mount Harding Creek. And we've got written by others, so that's not, don't assume that that's the council that's doing the funding and the running of that. That's what the others is about.
Okay, I have a seconder, Councillor Cameron. Yeah, would you like to speak to the motion or what? Yes.
Yep. I think this is a significant decision for our district's history. It's the right decision. We are modernising the stock delivery system and marrying it to the current irrigation and other infrastructure we have. We are, in this recommendation, we're recognising the environmental flows and desires of the community, and we're perhaps putting pressure onto the other regulators and the other entities which play in this space to help us to let the environment win for once. I'd like to also think there's been great collaboration between us, mana whenua, regulators, farming groups and the community to get to this point. It's been going on for 20 to 30 years to actually look at closing the stock water system. It's been doing little parts, so this is very significant to me.
Any speakers for or against? Councillor Maxwell.
While I support the bulk of the motions in place, my only concern would be that you've got for operational purposes for the 30th of September 2026. And I'm just wondering, I know we want to progress with this and get it ahead, but where does this leave farmers if we miss that date? Is there any little flexibility that should everything not line up and dotted and crossed in time, that these people are not left without water?
Thank you. Any other speakers for or against? No, I'll put Councillor Everest.
Just in support of Councillor Maxwell in terms of timing.
We can't answer debate, so there's no questions. Would you like right of reply?
Yes, I would like right of reply. I think we've done a lot of work, and the timing, farmers are very good at when they've got to do something, getting on and getting it done. That was discussed at one of the stockwater meetings, and there was no concern around the farmers doing it, and I believe irrigation companies are very adept at getting on and getting the stuff done too. I know there's concerns about it, but the water's there. There's just agreements are being agreed, and it's just these things. It's a chicken and egg scenario. We have to make a start, otherwise everybody will not do anything because they'll wait for someone else to start it. And I think this is a good start. We have good agreements. We've done the team have done a very good job in talking to everybody, working it through. Every answer can be every question can be answered, and it's just there is a little bit of risk there, but we have to get on and do it.
Okay, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against? Would you like your recorded? Okay, passed. Thank you. There is an additional recommendation there that Council approves the signing of the head of agreement between BCI and ADC. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Wilson, seconder Councillor Cameron. Any debate? Would you like to speak to the motion?
Please. Yep, this is again very significant. We're working with the irrigation companies in the district to provide to enhance the infrastructure of the district. So these things do take time again, and we have to work through the process. There are commercial companies, so it's a leap of faith for them as well as it's a leap of faith for us. But I think we'll get there, and this is a great start, and I congratulate BCI for coming to the party on this.
Any further speakers for or against? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next report is item number 8, Economic Development Strategy, the 6th monthly report. And welcome Shelley, Mercedes and Ian up to the table, and the report starts on page 42. Councillors, you would have read the report. Any questions to the officers? Councillor Todd.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just note there's, in the report, there's a couple of orange dots saying no budget available. That's on 2B2 and 2C1. Is that something you're going to progress in the next budget round, or is this on hold maybe? I don't know. I didn't actually write down the page numbers, but it's 2B2 and 2C1. 48, 49.
Yes, so for 2B2, we have had initial survey work completed. It is 12 months ago now, conducted with local businesses. Over 200 completed the survey around various things that they require as a business, but one of the items identified was emerging risks for skill gaps and that sort of thing, and what sort of training they were supplying or wanted within the district. And at that time, they indicated that they weren't looking for external suppliers of training. They were doing it in-house, etc. So at the moment, with no budget available, we're just continuing to do informal survey, and with the new CBD work progressing, there'll be some workshops as well where we can undertake some of these actions at the same time.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Hi, Shelley. I just wondered why there was ongoing markers around the Learning Hub 1A1 and 1A2.
That's on page 44.
44, yeah.
Yes, probably a typo at my end. Sorry, Councillor Hooper. The report for today was prepared a couple of weeks earlier, awaiting the outcome of that particular action. And although the comments have been updated, the dots probably haven't. Sorry.
Councillor Moffat.
Hi. Since the last council voted on the feasibility study for the CBD, have you had feedback from any businesses? And what has that been? And any indications of them providing some sort of united front? Because it was noted last time that there's no business association for the CBD. Yes, thank you. I have heard from some businesses within the CBD area, and they were all positive comments that something was going to happen and progress, and equally they're interested in being involved in any workshops or potential groups that are re-established. Any idea when that will start? We're currently scoping the feasibility study at the moment, so what we'd like that request for a proposal to provide, hoping to have that out by the end of this week with responses due 2nd of February, hoping then to choose by the end of February at the end, the very last, at the latest. So hopefully it starts before March.
Councillor Hooper.
I've got a few, Madam Chair. Am I okay to hop back on and off, or do you want me to?
Just start with a couple and then we'll see how we go.
Thank you. Page 45, 1B3, the 4 events that are now in the calendar, the light up the tree and live on the lawn, etc. Do you have a cost of each event? And a question I ask is, going forward with thoughts around rates capping, whether this is in our lane?
Hamish.
Madam Chair, could I just perhaps defer the second part of that question, because I don't know that our Economic Development Manager is the best equipped to comment about what it might be in Council's purvey going forward, but certainly in terms of the cost of the individual events, she may well be able to answer that.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, so with the 4 events that we run, these are rounded up numbers. off the top of my head. They total around about 140,000, the 4 of them. So we have Glow being our largest event, sitting at around 70,000 at the moment. Live on the Lawn sits around 25,000. Noodle Market around about the same. And the Light Up the Tree around 20 to 30.
So that's 70 for Glow. That's what it costs us because there's sponsorship. But
Correct.
That's still the cost to us, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what's in the budget. Additional to these 4 events, we also use this budget for the Business of the Year awards as well.
Councillor Cameron.
I have a few questions, please. I note in the legal policy implications, the report directly, the recommendations to receive the information relates to all 4 of the council community outcomes of economic, environmental, cultural and social. Are they still part of the our obligations under the revisions by the government? Is it come in yet? Or?
They are currently still provisions in the Local Government Act. The government
Okay.
has signalled their intention to repeal those provisions, but they're not yet repealed.
Thank you. Can I ask another question, please?
Yeah.
When you talk in here, please, Shelley, on page 54 through the chair, climate change outcomes are reflected throughout the strategy. I have some questions about that, and the specific initiatives are in the 3030 initiative. Can you remind me what that is, please? We're on page 54.
Sorry, one moment, please.
The 30 by 30 initiative was an informal gathering of business people in this district with ambition to reduce carbon emissions by 30% by 2030.
Okay,
That's what
and
the 3030
where did we just? I can't recall that. And we've got a representative on that group, presumably.
It hasn't met for a little while, but initially it was the mayor attended some of those meetings. I attended some of them. We had speakers like Rod Carr. There was a range of business leaders. It was facilitated in those days by our economic development manager.
Okay.
So there was discussion about, as a district, how might we work
Okay.
together to reduce emissions by 30% by 2030.
I recall Rod Carr coming in the last term of council. Was that what you're talking about? That was part of that?
Well, certainly Neil was there as mayor, so it must have been
in the last term or
council,
the term
yeah.
before. Yeah. One more question, please. And I'm trying to find the page, but in it says we still want to make sure that Methven is marketed as a premier destination in their district. And I saw the words. Can you help me, please, as to what proportion of your promotion and time goes to Methven and what proportion of that promotion and time may go to the rest of the district?
Just as Shelley thinks about that through you, Madam Chair, if you're referring to page 53,
Probably am.
it says promote Methven as a unique destination within our district, not premier.
Oh, not premier. Well, I might have. I'm sure that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. So it just describes it as a unique destination within the district.
Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. That goes, but my question still stands. Proportionally, where is the dollars spent? Ballpark. It doesn't have to be an accurate sort of thing.
Thank you. I would estimate around 60% of our promotion is focused, 60 to 65% of our promotion is focused on Methven.
And that includes your time and budget, pretty much.
Promotion budget probably closer to 50%.
Sure. And promotional activities about 60 to 65. Thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn. Councillor Gilkerson.
Thank you. Hi, Shelley. Furthering on from Councillor Hooper's questions around the events, we've got the costs, but do you also do economic benefit analysis post those events? For example, we know that people, for Glow, for example, there were lots more people coming in. Motels were probably all booked out. So do you have that analysis?
Thank you. Yes, it's something that's often been done prior to the event to sort of help to build a picture as to why we're running them. This year, I don't believe one was done post the event, but I know that we were sold out in accommodation through Ashburton and a lot of Methven as well. I don't have any analysis to break down.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Page 47, 2A1, developing partnerships between ADC, industry organisations and government organisations. Can you give me some examples of that, Shelley, please?
Yes, thank you. So in my tenure at least, I've met with the Ministry of Education, the YMCA, Keep Learning Mid Canterbury, Ashburton College. I've completed some work which would be going towards James Meager, meeting with him. Where else have we worked? With Keep Learning Mid Canterbury, we've got a partnership to deliver part of our learning network. Christchurch NZ, we've met a lot with Christchurch NZ in the last 12 months. I attended the Economic Development Forum in Auckland recently and met a lot of people in and out of different councils and economic development agencies, which are, great connections to have as well.
So,
Chamber of Commerce, Business Canterbury.
thank you. And one more if I may, please.
One more. Yep.
Thanks. 2B1, page 48. The establish a business leadership group, that's completed. Can you give us a wee bit of insight into what that is and the budget allocated to it, please?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I believe that group was formed last year. I have a copy of it, who was in the group, but I don't believe that the group has ever met. There is no budget allocated towards it. I'm anticipating that with the CBD work that's coming up, this may form the basis for a new group being developed from there.
Councillor Moffat.
Similar to Councillor Hooper, but as far as the investment side of things goes, business investment, are you actively approaching businesses, approaching business organisations outside the district for them to invest here, and in what areas would they be interested in investing in, or what areas you think you would like them to invest in?
Thank you. The short answer is no. I'm not approaching investors outside of or inside the district at the moment. In my time in the role, we have had several investors come to council for discussions. So we've met with them and helped them with any questions they have to what it is they're looking to do. In terms of who we'd like to attract, CBD development, absolutely. Horticulture, agriculture, agri-tech, a lot. There's a lot to offer here, and I think next year, once we've got all of the roles appointed within economic development, I'll be able to look a little bit further ahead and start focusing on some of those priorities.
One more. So the investors that have approached you, have they been related to the primary sector?
Yes, just trying to rationalise. Yes and no. Some are just interested in land and property, and some, yes, definitely in horticulture and agriculture.
I just have a question, and it's on page 53, and it's establish the Highway 72 collaborative group. So that obviously runs across a couple of other councils. Was that focused on the dark sky, or was that just a promotion group for Highway 72?
Yes, it was just a group for an unscenic route, the four councils that it crosses.
Right, thank you. If there's no further questions, there's a recommendation on page 42 that Council receives the Economic Development Strategy 6-monthly progress report. I'm happy to move that. Would someone like to second? Councillor Todd? Any debate, discussion? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour say aye. Against? No. Carried. Thank you. Thanks all. Our next report is item number 9, Community Grants and Funding Policy Review. And we have Anne, Femke and Tony. And the report starts on page 56. Councillors would have read the report. Are there any questions for staff? Sorry, Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, just to clarify, the numbers there is for this year and not for next year, because we haven't set that in the annual plan yet. Is that correct?
Through the Chair, yes, that's correct. So for the budget, we've prepared the budget based on year 2 of the LTP for council discussion.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. Funding for this, is it general rates?
It's funded through the UAGC.
Just a question from me on page 57 and just the service agreement, the service level agreements or the long-standing arrangements. So are they all for a 3-year period over that long-term plan? Is that correct?
Through the Chair, yes, they are. So the service level agreements are in place for Safe and Mid-Canterbury, Safe Communities, the Ashburton Trust Event Centre and the Citizens Advice Bureau.
So the Upper Rangitata Landcare Group, was that funding that was over a period of time as well?
It's in every year of the long-term plan, so $5,000 per annum for that, but there isn't a service level agreement in place.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gilbertson.
Hi there. I'm just trying to find the rationale of changing from the committee to just the group manager throughout the policy.
Thank you, through the Chair. It's actually lining up with custom and practice. So in the past, we have had a grants and funding committee of council who would undertake the assessment of the applications and put the decisions or put the recommendation forward to council. What has been actually happening in reality is the whole council has been meeting through a workshop and discussing all the applications, and then we prepare the report through to council. And in terms of the group manager making the decisions in terms of the fund being carried over for a year due to it not being completed, that's been a bit of a custom and practice as well, rather than bring an independent report back to council for $3,000 or $4,000. If we have any concerns, though, that the funding isn't going to be spent based on what council has intended it to be spent on, that's when I wouldn't be making that call and I would be coming back to you for a decision.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Cameron.
If these funds remain unspent or they're not allocated, what happens to that funding?
Thank you, through the Chair. At the time that we have funds that are unspent, council generally resolves to carry it forward into a discretionary pot, and we carry that discretionary fund for the remainder of that financial year. And if that's not available, then it just becomes null and void.
One more question, please. The Mayor asked a question about the service level agreements or the long-standing, the SLAs or the long-standing arrangements, and you mentioned only a few, but there's quite a lot in that pile. 782,000. Are they all long-standing arrangements?
Yes, they are, and there are some that are more formalised. That was a decision made through the long-term plan, and that's for the ones where the majority of the money is going out. So your event centre, council made the commitment to the event centre, to Safe Communities, to Safe and Mid-Canterbury, the Citizens Advice Bureau, that they would put them on a 3-year funding arrangement, so they knew what they were going to get each year, and it saved them having to prepare a business case on an annual basis.
Sure.
Councillor Ellis.
Oh, thank you. Is it correct that occasionally when we've had money left out, we've actually opened that particular one up to a second round heritage? I think we've done that before in that pot of money.
Thank you, through Mayor Liz, that's correct. It depends on the level of funding that's available. If it's worth doing that, you can set false expectations with the community by opening up a funding round if you don't have enough in the pot to distribute.
If there's no further questions, there is a recommendation there that council adopts the Community Grants and Funding Policy 2025, Appendix 1. Mover, Councillor Moffat. Seconder, Councillor Ellis. Thank you. Discussion, debate. No debate? No? All good. I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against, no. Carried. Thank you. Our next item is Dangerous and Insanitary Buildings Policy Review, item number 10, and we have Femke and Michael to answer any questions. Councillors, any questions? Oh, and Ian as well. Thanks, Ian. Any questions regarding this report? Nope. We have a recommendation there. You got a question, Councillor Everest?
I was just trying to find it, but it was a question about the dams, and I didn't understand what the regulation related to dams were. Please, I'm just trying to find it, sorry.
It's in the draft. It's about the first or the second page, I think.
Through the chair, on page 72, there's the definition of dam that was added to the definition of affected building to match what is in the Building Act.
So it's under effective building, and it has or a dangerous dam within the meaning of section 153 of the Act.
Yes, I found it in my comment, sorry. And so my question was, I didn't understand, I hadn't looked back to that reference. What does that actually mean?
Michael?
Through the chair, so we had to include the definition for dams which are under the jurisdiction of ECAN. So a large dam is under their jurisdiction, but because we had to include the word affected following an audit from MB, so if ECAN designate a dam as dangerous, then we have to assess the affected buildings downstream from if it breaches. So we had to, I suppose, for completeness, insert the definition.
Councillor Hooper.
Thanks. Mine's just for clarification around 3.5, identifying dangerous, affected or insanitary buildings, and it's on page 74. 3.5.1 says council has a partially reactive approach to identifying potentially dangerous. So partially, does that mean that we do identify some without complaints?
Through the chair, yes. So when the inspectors are driving around, going to other inspections, they may notice something. The majority of the requests come from FENS after a fire.
Thanks.
Councillor Maxwell.
I'll just quickly check the page for you. Page 71, you've got under significance and engagement assessment, it says the recommended option to adopt the draft policy has been assessed against Council's community engagement policy and does not trigger a high significance. Community has.
Yes, through the chair. Sorry, I noticed that sentence has been cut off. Community has been consulted on. That was.
Thank you. We have a recommendation there that Council adopts a draft dangerous, affected and insanitary buildings policy 2025 Appendix 1. Do I have a mover for that, Councillor Hooper? And a seconder, Councillor Maxwell. Any speakers for or against? No. If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Our next item is item number 11, elected members' allowances and reimbursement policy review 2025, and Femke and Tania, and starts on page 78. Councillor Cameron.
Are we at the stage of asking questions?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. I've got a few questions, please. Page 81, current policy 2023 and proposed changes versus 2025-26 determination. Is there growth in that? Like, we've spent so far, I think, $11,000. Have we on elected members' expenses?
Through the chair, that's correct.
And what's that been mainly spent on?
So it's a breakdown of mileage, childcare allowance, and communications policy.
That's what it will. You mean that's what currently
That's what's been spent so far.
And is there growth like 2%, 3%, and 0% in that?
So that the figures that are on page 81 we discussed at that public workshop, and the direction from council at that public workshop was to keep those figures the same.
Great. One more question, please, if I may. I just wanted to be careful about that. That was all. travel time allowance is available to council but has not been standard practice for it to get reimbursed. At a workshop, council debated the removal. If council wishes to do so, they can confirm this. I just do not want to confirm this. So is it not included at the moment, the travel time, or is it included?
So it's included in the draft policy.
Well, I'd like to remove it.
That's the direction, that's the option of
I'd like to move that.
Move that it's removed.
Do I move that it was removed? Is that, are you talking how I do it?
Yes.
Yeah, I
We
would.
need to test the will of council to find out whether there is agreement to remove it. So the best way is to test the will of council via a resolution.
When do I do that though? My question is
Yeah.
now. I'd like to move that we remove the travel time allowance from this
Policy.
elected members' allowances and reimbursement policy review 2025. Remove the travel time.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Wilson, seconded. Okay, any discussion? No, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Thank you. So that's been removed. I just have one question, if that's okay, on page 80 and just around the instalment of a home security system, and I guess that's a one-off, so you could use that up to that $4,500 to put in home security, and that would be the only time that you would be able to use that for a term, or is it over the time that you are a councillor? How does that work?
So we've taken the wording from the determination, and it's not specific as to whether it's a term or a one-off, so that's your decision to make through the policy as to whether you want to be that specific. But like I said, we've just taken the wording that's in the determination.
Okay, thank you. Questions, Councillor Hooper?
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is the spot for it, but Councillor Cameron was wanting allowances declared or advertised as to how much each of us was getting as far as allowances go. I couldn't find it mentioned in here. Is this where it should be, or where are we at with that?
Hamish?
Through Madam Chair, my recollection is that we agreed that that would be a thing and that we would reflect that in the way in which we reported back to Council through the Audit and Risk and Finance Committee. This policy is making provision for the various allowances. How we reflect what is actually claimed was the subject of that previous discussion, and I understood agreement that we would be giving updates through Audit and Risk and Finance.
Awesome, thanks.
Councillor Moffat.
The possibility of leasing home security systems for councillors was brought up, I can't remember if it was a workshop or last meeting. Has that been looked into and costed at all?
Not costed as such, because it would depend on the situation in the house. The issue that we foresaw with leasing is the removal of the security equipment afterwards. The security equipment, as we understand, is intended to be sort of hardwired into a house, so it's quite. Leasing would require removal at the end, and then there's a cost as to who would, and a discussion as to who would make that cost. The way the determination reads at the moment is the security, if approved, the security system would be installed in the house and left in the house, including at the end of the term, so there's no ongoing cost. So we've taken that decision. We haven't specified specifically in the policy that the equipment would be leased, but if there was a security risk assessment done and it was deemed necessary for that system, then we would look at all options at that stage. So, yeah.
I just think it'd be good to be able to do a cost comparison of the two, to have the figures.
Through the chair, if it was deemed necessary that there was a security system required, I think you'd do that assessment now. I mean, we don't know if through the term this policy will be, and that part of the policy, if approved, would be enacted. So,
would that be up to the individual member if they are going to apply for this reimbursement to have?
Several things can happen here, Madam Chair. Firstly, Council has to approve that it's a legitimate reimbursement. if you approve that it's a legitimate reimbursement, then a councillor has to claim it. And so we have to work through the individual circumstances of both approval and then a claim to work out what might be the appropriate solution for that councillor.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cameron.
Thank you, Mayor Liz. I understood, if I've got it right, that we're spending about the maximum we can spend on elected members' expenses is $25,000. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that's what we've budgeted in this
That's what
current
we've
financial
budgeted.
year.
So this, security system would have to come under in a different budget in all likelihood. And we haven't really approved that, I wouldn't have thought. It's not been approved as yet.
Hamish?
No, it hasn't.
No, thank you.
And this is what you're doing now.
Yeah, and also I think with regards to the transparency that Councillor Hooper was alluding to, I think in the minutes we said that it would come at the moment until a better pathway can be identified through the activity briefings every quarter. I think that came through in the minutes, did it, or has that been moved?
I thought it was through the variance report, audit and risk.
Yeah, but it was a quarterly, the variance report.
Variance report.
Audit and risk though, not the activity briefing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to go back and check that. Thank you.
Councillor Wilson.
It's to do with the security threat. It says undertaken by an independently suitably qualified expert. Is that a policeman or what person is that? Because it's a good idea. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it's who would that be? Who would you, if I was being threatened by somebody and they, how do they decide if I'm just being paranoid or is it a real threat sort of thing? How do you?
Tanya.
Very good question. We've purposely put the word independent there to make it clear that it's not a staff decision or a council decision. I think we'd take advice at the time. We've got security contractors that we would take advice on who would be the most appropriate person depending on the risk.
Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. So I'm just seeking clarification. If we move the recommendation as written, but with the change that's just been previously made, that means that home security allowance is not in the policy. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. Home security allowance is in the policy. We just don't have a budget attributed to it in this financial year. So if it was requested, it would be unbudgeted expense in this current financial year.
Thank you.
And just to remember, the motion that Councillor Cameron moved was a separate motion, and then we've got another motion here which is on page 78. Councillor Hooper.
Thanks. Following on from Russell's question. So, you may have just mentioned this, sorry. If Richard says he wants a security, he's getting threats, we get the independent assessment done, does it then come to council for approval, which will approve the budget alongside it as well?
No. Essentially, if the policy enables it, then successful requests are outside the current budget, but they've already been approved by council.
Councillor Cameron.
Seeking point of clarification, Madam Chair. The recommendation, do we need to alter that point A on that recommendation that council adopts a draft elected members allowance with the removal?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
I'm happy to move it if nobody else wants to have it.
Leaving in the home security.
Well, we haven't got any budget.
So it's that we adopt the draft elected members allowance and reimbursement policy 2025. Sorry, give you a Philippa.
That council adopts the elected members' allowances and reimbursement policy 2025 as amended to remove the travel time allowance and rolls over the elected members' attendance at conferences, training courses and seminars guidelines.
Okay, Councillor Cameron, you'd like to move that?
Yeah, thank you.
Seconder, Councillor Hooper. Any debate? Councillor Wilson.
I think debate around the security thing. If a member's threatened, we should be able to go out and get security to, if there's a home invasion and this sort of thing, because that's what it's about. It's not about someone thinking, oh, I'll upgrade my house and sell it. It's about the real threat to their well-being. So then that's been documented right through the country. In many councils, people have been getting threats online and in person. So this is just the modern environment we live in. But Ashburton hasn't had that problem because it's a great place to live.
Touchwood, yes. Councillor Cameron, right of reply.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm very pleased with this members' allowances and reimbursement policy. I think it's very transparent. I think it demonstrates that we are not taking excessive expenses, and we're doing this as a service to the community and to contribute as best we can with our ability and skills into the functions of the Ashburton District Council. And I'm delighted with this policy.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Aye. Against? No. Carried. Thank you. Next we have the gambling venue policy, and this is on page 100, and we have Mel, Rick and Ian. Thank you. Councillors, any questions? Councillor Cameron.
When I read the report, and I can't find it at the moment because my keyboard wasn't working, so I've written it down here on my notes, but it says in the report that when we had our workshop that the vibe was to increase the numbers of gaming machines and to increase the venues to a maximum. I'm not entirely sure that's an accurate reflection on the day, is it? Was it?
It's how we felt the day went, but you get the opportunity now to resolve whether or not that's what you want to do.
Any further questions? Councillor Gilkison.
Yeah, my only question was around how did you land on 20 being the number of venues that you thought was appropriate? Was it just, wasn't 18, wasn't 22?
Through the chair, I wasn't here for that, but my understanding is that that number actually came from council. And it's also important to note that Ashburton already has a higher number of machines per capita compared to the national average.
So I guess this policy overlapped from last term. So we had a number of workshops last term, and then the consultation period went through to this term where we had hearings and deliberations. Do you have a further question, Councillor Wilkinson? Councillor Wilson.
With the previous policy, we had no limit. Did we have people rushing out madly to get licences?
Thank you. Through the chair, no.
Any further questions? We have a recommendation on page 100 that Council adopts the Gambling Venue Policy 2025 as attached in Appendix 1. Is there a mover for that motion? Councillor Hooper. Councillor Wilson, seconder. Speakers for or against? Councillor Gilkison.
So just reading through all the information in the deliberations, I do want to express that I do think that there's been more weighted towards businesses in actually increasing what we're allowing. Although we're not increasing it, we are advertising that there's actually more allowances for businesses to put them in their business. And it could be at the expense of the community. So that's my only, yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Cameron.
I speak against the motion. I don't see a need to increase the number of outlets, and per outlet I don't see a need to increase the number of machines. I think with regards to the movement of the outlets from a higher to a lower or a lesser to a greater, deprivation area, I think was the words used, I think is meaningless because Ashburton is not a big CBD anyway, so we're talking probably 100 metres here, there or wherever between each area. So I speak against the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
I speak for the motion. I think there's a concept out there of FOMO where you fear of missing out, and if you had one more limit there, many owners would think, well, I better get in while I still can. We have got a limit, and the limit is for only 5 per new venue. And Ashburton, as we know, if someone else opens up in Ashburton, more than likely someone else shuts because the market is not that big. So I think this is just about ensuring that we have quality venues open who are well resourced, look after their patrons, but also they follow all the guidelines of modern gambling establishments.
Councillor Moffat.
I'm for the cap on the 5 machines, but as I expressed last time when we had the hearings on this, to me the number of 20 seemed to be a number plucked out of the air for the number of venues. It didn't seem to be based on any kind of study, and as we do have more machines per capita than the rest of the country, then we should err on the side of caution, I think. And also to say that it'll never happen. Well, you can't really say it'll never happen. You never know that anything can happen. So I do have concerns around that.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. I speak in favour, and following on from what Richard said, also the last thing we need to do is be pushing people online and offshore, and then the community gets no benefit whatsoever.
Thank you. I will put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against? Would you like that recorded?
Yes, please.
Yep. Okay, motion passed. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Next, we have reserves and memorial hall boards triennial appointments, item number 13, and we have Anne and Tony. And many councillors would have been to a few triennial meetings over the last month or so. Councillor Cameron, you've got a question.
I have a correction. Can I make a correction? Timwood Memorial Hall is actually Ponty, Ponty, not Pony. That's all. Thank you.
Okay.
That's all.
Just a question from me, and I see most of the boards look like they have got up to 7 members. There's a couple of reasonably large reserve boards that are sort of on the smaller side, noting Require and Methven. Was that just because you didn't get the people there on the evening? How do we? And is there still time to co-op other members onto those boards?
Yeah, it's just people just didn't turn up for the meetings, and they can join if they can rally some extra locals. It would be great.
And so when they co-opt other members, does that then need to come to council again for approval? So that does?
It does, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Councillor Cameron?
In the past, has the Require and Methven reserve boards had more members on it than they have this last triennial, or about the same?
About the same, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they've been flush with members regardless.
No.
Methven looks slightly lighter, but that's only because I was the councillor appointee last term. Councillor Gilkison.
Of the reserve boards that are yet to schedule their triennial meetings, do they still have active groups looking after them?
To my knowledge, they do, yes. We just haven't heard from them, and I'll follow up with them before we break for Christmas. They still have...
About 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just administrative. We don't need to worry that they won't be upkept and operational.
Just another question from me, and I had a question from some of the Alfred Forest Reserve Board members at the meeting the other night about a Reserve Board, Hall Board sort of get together that we used to run them sort of a few terms ago, and they sort of mentioned that they found them quite helpful. Is there any indication that you could run something like that? It was more of an information hour or two for those board members.
Thank you,
Tony?
Mayor Liz. Yes, we do intend to, but what we want to do is get all the boards in place first, so we just have to run one and everyone can be invited to that single event. So probably by about March we'll know that we've got everybody in place and then we'll better get that ball rolling.
Great, thank you. Councillor Cameron?
If there's no more questions, I'd like to move option 9, option 1.
So you don't need to read out everyone's name. So we've
Yeah.
got that recommendation there of the different boards and the members. You happy to move that?
Happy to move that with the correction.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, you'll second that. Any discussion? Councillor Ellis?
Thank you. I chaired 3 of these meetings. It was great to see the local communities coming out together, passionate about their own particular area and their facilities they have. Lots of them have plans and aspirations to do things, but the normal financial constraints is difficult for them, but it's good to see that most of them are in good heart.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson.
I congratulate the people that have gone on. I'd also like to mention some of the other community centres around the district that aren't affiliated with council, notably the Hines one, I'd be remiss if I didn't, who have the same amount of passion and people that put their names forward and do the same amount of work, but don't have perhaps the support the same level as council as some of the others do. So note that a lot of the smaller ones are doing very well and some of the bigger ones are struggling. So some of the bigger towns may need to look after their facilities in the community a bit better.
Thank you, and from me also, I support this and just like to thank everyone who's put their hand up to go on one of our reserve and hall boards. I think they make it a lot easier for us and they do a lot of work behind the scenes. So I'll put that...
Can I have a right to reply?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate, and very similar to yourself, Mayor Liz, I'd like to congratulate those that put their name forward. I'm the council appointee on the Timberwood Memorial Hall, and this was I've done 6 years on it. Those volunteers on the Timberwood Memorial Hall and on the Hines and all the other memorial halls, exactly that, they're volunteers. They turn up, they clean, they paint, they work out bookings. So I think, I'm in awe of these people that turn up week in and week out to look after their halls and make sure that they're available for bookings and for people to enjoy them. So I'd like to congratulate all those people that have put their name forward. Thank you.
We've had the right of reply, so sorry. Thank you. So all those in favour? Aye. Against? No. Carried. Thank you very much. Next is the Mayor's report on page 126, and there's a recommendation there that Councillor Deb Gilkinson be appointed as Council's representative on the Biodiversity Champions Group. Do I have a mover for that? Councillor Maxwell, seconder. Councillor Wilson. All those in favour? Right, against, carried, thank you. And any questions on the Mayor's report? Obviously, it's that time of the year when it's very, very busy. And there has been a lot of invitations to a lot of events as well as quite a few meetings. And I've noted there the government reforms and the mayoral forum meeting that I attended. And of course, this is our last meeting for the year, so wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and hope that people get to have a bit of rest and relaxation over the holidays. And thank you to all those out in the community who do work over Christmas and New Year to keep our district running. We really appreciate. So no questions on the report. There's a recommendation there that Council receives the Mayor's report. I will move that. Councillor Hooper, second. Any discussion? Otherwise, I'll put the motion. All those in favour, aye. Against, carried. Thank you. We are slightly ahead of schedule. Have you just stopped the recording? Yep. No. So we're slightly ahead of schedule. We have new and long-serving staff. they're just about here. So we have got 3 new staff and 2 long-serving staff who will come through shortly. We're good to go, Katie? Yes. Thank you. So Katie I see we've got 3 new staff and 2 long-serving staff. Have I got that right? Okay, I'll get you to pop your mic on, and there you go. Thank you.
Right. Good afternoon, everyone. I am pleased to welcome 4 new starters today. First of all, we have Eli Sinclair. If Eli can stand up. Give a wave. So Eli has joined our library team as a digital programs assistant. But Eli actually did work for us a few months ago. He was helping with digital stuff as part of a additional program offering in the library. So it's great that we've been able to appoint him to a permanent role. We also have Philippa Hadley-Chin. She has joined the P&C team as a P&C officer and will be overseeing our payroll and admin. We have Jackson Latimer. Jackson has joined our EA Network Centre team as a lifeguard. And finally, we have Emily Willis, who has joined our Open Spaces team as a horticulturalist. Welcome to ADC. I'm also very pleased to be able to recognise 2 long-standing employees for service recognition today. From our information systems team, we have Matthew Lucas, who has been recognised for 10 years service. So Matthew joined council not long after arriving in New Zealand and has had a very busy 10 years, quickly establishing himself in the information systems team as a business analyst. Matthew has worked with most council teams to introduce or enable better systems and processes to support the delivery of public services. Notable works include the introduction of a stadium management system at EA Network Centre and the soon-to-be delivered community booking systems. In between these, there has been many discussions, reviews, ideas and enhancements delivered, which Matthew has played his part in. In addition, Matthew has supported many extracurricular work activities during his time at council, from holding social club positions to being a mental health mate and creating a really positive workplace for all. And from our EA Network Centre customer service team, we have Jill Cullymore, who has been recognised for 20 years service. Well, that's actually not quite correct. Jill has actually worked on and off for ADC since 1993. I couldn't verify that, but that's Jill's working knowledge. And she spent the majority of her time as part of the library team before joining EA Network Centre in 2023. Richard tells me that Jill's confident approach to customer service, coupled with her supportive nature and patience with the many inquiries received day after day, ensured she fitted in well with the team. Richard recently had time to reflect with Jill on her time with the organisation, and whilst she had some incredible stories to tell, it was quite clear that the people she has connected and worked with have had a meaningful impact on her over the years. Jill demonstrates a strong need to support her peers, and in particular the learning of the younger members at EA Network Centre, and has really helped them thrive at the centre. A big thank you to Jill for her strong administration and customer service drive. We look forward to many more years working with Jill.
Thanks, Katie. Congratulations to everyone, and welcome to our new staff. We're looking forward to getting to know you, and hope that your time here with Ashburton District Council is long. 20 years is a good target, isn't it? We'd now like to invite you through to have a cuppa and afternoon tea with us, and Council, we will need to be back here just after 3 p.m. I'd like to move that, I'll move that we go into public excluded. Councillor Ellis, all those in favour, aye. Against, carried. Thank you.